everybody. Welcome back to episode 42 of the Crazy Hockey Dads podcast. The unfiltered podcast for hockey parents. No politics, no sugarcoating, just real talk for hockey parents in the trenches. And I screwed it up now too.
Yo, that's okay, man. I messed it up. You
Last
messed it up.
Yeah, back to back.
Yeah,
all good.
We should go to the school for children that didn't read so good.
Seriously.
Jesus.
Why I don't have it memorized by now is I'm not really sure.
No, well, it's all good because, I don't know, because it's all good. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Anyway, how's it going?
Yo, my man, what's happening?
Same old same, buddy. Just
Yeah,
another day. Likewise, another day.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
No, it's the hat. That's what's doing it. It's the hat. The USA Hockey. Bob Mancini.
Bob Mancini, for our USA Hockey gear.
Yeah, I love it.
Right? So cool of him. So cool of him. Yeah. If you guys haven't yet, go back to episode 40.
Dude, it's super comfortable.
Bob Mancini. Great.
I'm really feeling this one. I'm gonna rock this a lot.
Looks good on you, pal.
Thanks, buddy.
No problem.
Yeah, anything that'll cover any part of my face usually helps.
Like your facial hair?
Nah, I don't know. Speaking of which, it's getting very gray.
I know. I do know the feeling.
That happens, of course, but it's just sometimes like you just turn a corner with things. Like my beard is very noticeably gray in spots, and my vision's going.
You said that actually. Did
you go
you went to the eye doctor?
Yeah, the eye doctor said my vision was 20/20, but which apparently can happen even if you have a hard time reading.
Okay.
Like at distance, I was good.
That doesn't make any sense.
I read all the numbers from distance.
Did you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
You didn't catch my Anchorman line, did you?
No, because I don't actually have that movie so committed to memory. I know. Listen.
Well, that's your fucking problem, first of all.
No shit.
Clearly.
I got to watch that a few more times.
Yes. That's almost like a prerequisite.
And by the way, Chicklets just had Sean Avery on. I think it was last Friday's episode. And they talked a lot about movies and dropped a lot of movies that I want to go back and listen to that interview just to jot some of them down, because there's a bunch on there that I was like, well.
Which ones? Can you remember any off the top of your head?
Yeah, they talked a lot about this movie and apparently in previous episodes as well. But Heat, I don't remember watching Heat.
With Val Kilmer and Robert De Niro.
Yeah, I think so.
And De Niro and Al Pacino, if I'm not mistaken.
I honestly don't know. Anyway, but there was a bunch of movies I was like, oh, I haven't watched like a lot of these, so got some catching up to do.
Dude, Heat's long.
I know. It was like a double VHS cassette when it came out. It's like 90s. Dude, listen to this. Speaking of double VHS cassettes.
Yeah.
Bro. Freshman in college.
I'm listening.
BU Terriers, let's go. So I had never watched a double VHS cassette.
Movie
it's a movie. So I was a freshman in college, and we had like this small little TV on the refrigerator that you could feed VHS cassettes into, and
the built-in.
Yeah, totally built in. Yeah. And I don't know, it was just like a lazy Saturday, and the girls next door to me, they had Braveheart. Never saw Braveheart. So I was like, oh, sick.
Freedom.
I'm definitely going to watch this. So, bro, listen. Right. So I've never watched a movie with two VHS cassettes. So I turn it sideways, I look at it, I take the one on top, and I pop it in. And it starts, and I was like, oh, this is weird.
I feel like I know where this is going.
There's no like kind of like intro. It just kind of like starts. And I was like, that's weird. Never crossed my mind that I put in the second tape first. So the first time I've ever watched Braveheart.
You watched from the middle.
I watched
the last half
before the first half. Yeah.
So have you never seen the beginning, Scott?
No. I watched the beginning. Of course I watched it,
dude.
After I watched the end.
That's so. It's funny. I thought you were going to tell me something else, like somebody like dubbed porn over the movie or something like that.
Oh no, that would have been a pleasant surprise.
Listen, I mean, not the worst thing in the world, right?
No,
but that's funny, man. Oh, so you watched the second half of the movie first?
Yeah, geez, like talk about an idiot.
Well, hey, listen, it happens.
No doubt. Few blunders happened in college. There was a few.
Yes.
I know. You know, I can't even say I was drinking when I watched that movie backwards. I was like straight sober, just not paying attention. You know?
Listen, it happens. You know?
Yeah.
All
Anyhow.
good. Yeah.
Hockey.
Hockey.
How'd you do? You had a showcase, my guy.
We did. We were down in like the Philly area.
Yeah. Yo, you do it downtown or what? You're always good for it downtown.
We were nowhere near downtown.
Yeah, they never are when they say it's in Philly.
We were
or in Boston.
We were like South Jersey, southwestern Jersey.
Did you hit up Main Street in southwestern Jersey?
I don't even think there is a Main Street in southwestern Jersey.
Anyway.
There was, we missed it.
Yeah, got you.
But yeah, it was. I'm not gonna lie, it was an exhausting weekend, man. We had 2 7 a.m. games.
Yeah.
I mean, that was awful. We had 2 7 a.m.s and 2 like 3:30s.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't go to Otto's last showcase, but they had the same thing.
Yeah, the times were not friendly, you know?
No. Were your kids allowed to go in the pool?
I don't think there was a pool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think our hotel had a pool.
Well, that solves for that problem.
Yeah, yes. Listen, that didn't stop them from running around the hotel like lunatics.
Oh, of course.
But I'm not gonna lie, because our games were so damn early.
Yeah.
Like after we got out of the games, like everybody went to eat breakfast, you know, so that killed like another like hour and a half, 2 hours. So all of a sudden you're at like noon.
Yeah.
Right. And we had to leave at like 2:30 or 2:30 be back to the rink. So there wasn't a ton of time for the kids to really get into trouble. You know, I got to tell you, they mostly like hung out in the lobby on their phones. You know,
God, that sucks. Why
forget
no
awful.
Pool, fucking no phones,
dude. You're not wrong.
I would let my kid go in the pool every day of the week before like he fucking sat in front of his phone and became a scrolling.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong,
idiot.
Yeah. So it kind of like limited their time to like get in trouble. I mean, they still got in trouble. Don't get me wrong. I'm trying to think. Saturday night, we came back to the hotel after our game, and we ordered like one of the moms ordered like pizzas and cheesesteaks and just all shit that none of us should have been eating, but tasted.
Shovel it in.
Yeah.
Shovel it in.
You know, so we were hanging out in the lobby, and the kids, like our entire hockey team, piled into the elevator. Like 20 kids just piled into the elevator.
So sounds about right.
Yeah, they got yelled at by.
Did it stop?
I don't think they actually got it moving, but the employees at the Marriott
We're not feeling it.
Not that happy with us,
dude. When I was in college, I had a bunch of classes with football players. So BU so lame. My freshman year, they cut the football program.
I remember that.
Like,
I actually remember that.
Crazy. One of my buddies, who's local here in Jersey,
still don't have a football team, right?
No,
to this day.
But one of my buddies was on the team. Right. Anyway, they got. So anyway, so
did he have a scholarship?
Yes, and I think it wasn't a full ride, but they honored it.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm pretty sure.
Even though they bounced the team, they honored the kids that were on scholarship.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so they did the right thing by the kids. That's
cool. Anyhow, what I was going to say was, I was in classes with a bunch of football players, and the building had an elevator. We were on like it was like the bottom floor for the elevator. I think it was like one below ground, and all the football players thought it'd be funny to pile in the elevator while it was already full. When I say all the football players, not the football team, but it was like at least like 4 or 5 of them.
Max capacity, 3,500 pounds.
Dude, we're on the ground floor. The door closes. The elevator goes down.
Oh,
like it sunk. It
sunk
into like the area.
What kind of weight that was.
Dude, it sunk into the area where it's like,
it's not supposed to go to.
Totally. And then so the elevator ended up getting pried open. And the doors stayed open. And so we're like climbing and pulling each other out of the fucking elevator.
Nice.
That was my pile in an elevator story.
Nice and safe
for tonight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's what you do in college.
Well, right. We're talking about kids that watch the second half of movies first. So in any event, real geniuses. Okay, so it was a long weekend, exhausting, but how did the kids do?
It's, it's funny now that I think about it. We went
1-3.
We went 1-3.
Sounds like our team.
We went 1-3, dude. We beat. We won our first game like 5 or 6-1, and then we played a really tough team. Like a team that's probably like the best AA team that any of us have seen.
Yeah.
Right. We actually went up 1-0 on them, and then it got tied 1-1, and then 2-1, and then the wheels kind of fell off. I think we lost 4-1 or 3-1, 4-1, something like that.
Yeah.
So that was the second game.
Go ahead.
No,
I was just saying, isn't that the worst when it's like you're playing a team that is definitely better than you, but like you're doing enough to hang on, and you get to like, I don't know when it happened for you, but you get to like the third period, the other team gets a goal, and then it's just like
it was in the third period. It was 1-1 going to the third.
It's like there's this large exhale, and everyone's like, "Oh, there went the game," and the fucking wheels fall off, and it's like, "Come on, guys! You've been in it this whole game. Like, fucking dig in."
Yeah, and you could see, our kids were good through 2 periods.
Yeah.
The third period, our team kind of took the foot off the gas a little bit. So that was, listen, it was a tough game, and the other team was good. So the other team's goalie stood on his head. Like, I give him credit, So then the next morning, our kids just didn't show up.
And did the other team show up, or they
did.
just
they did. Yeah.
That's like also the early morning thing. Sometimes it can be a crapshoot, man.
One of our dads said, "Oh, it's morning," and I go, "Dude, it's morning for them too."
No, totally
not, right. It's not like the conditions are any different for them, right?
Exactly.
So I don't think our kids play well at that time of day. We just don't. And the other team we played was a good team. Yeah, it was a good team,
Okay. So the better team won.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. And we lost to them like a month ago, like 4-3, 4-2. This game we lost like 5-1.
Yeah,
4-1, something like that. Our kids just didn't show up. And then oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I take it back. We went 2-2. My bad. Sorry.
Oh.
We went 1-1 on each day because we beat a team from Maryland on Sunday afternoon 2-1. Yeah, sorry. Good. Yeah, we didn't go 1-3. We went 2-2. You know what's really funny that I wanted to mention to you? You know how we all obviously watch our kids and kind of like scrutinize our kids?
Yeah. Okay. No, I mean
no, never.
What are you talking about?
What?
Weirdo.
Yeah, seriously, I don't know what I was thinking by even mentioning that. Yeah.
What kind of parent are you?
Seriously. So I'm sitting in the lobby. I don't know, like at midday Sunday after we kind of all checked out. We still had like 2 hours to kill. So we're all kind of hanging in the lobby, right? And our coach comes down, and our coach happens to mention to me. So he mentions to me that the coach from Sunday morning's team, okay, actually said to Tyler after the game, he's like, wow, so we lost to them like 5-1. Our team really didn't show much. And the other coach says to our coach, wow, that 22, can he teach all of my kids how to skate?
No shit.
Right? Talking about Dominic. So Tyler says that to me, and I look at him and I go,
have they ever seen it?
I go, really? He goes, yeah. I go, well, clearly we're watching 2 different hockey games because I thought he was fucking awful, right? But
jeez.
But it's funny. I guess the reason I'm bringing this up is because I think sometimes us as parents, we see certain things that our kids do and don't do, right? But it's not always necessarily what somebody who knows the game of hockey is looking for.
Okay.
Right? So I would have never said that in a million years. Like, oh wow, like Dominic really skated well that game.
In fact, you've been saying like the total opposite for weeks at this point.
That's correct. So, and then Tyler says to me after I mentioned that, he says to me from the Saturday morning game, I thought that was the most complete game that Dominic played. And I thought Dominic was awful in that game too. So again, I guess the reason I'm saying this is because coaches, I think hockey coaches who know the game, they look at different things than we as parents do. And the reason I'm saying this now is because, so Alec Marsh, who, the Hobart assistant coach, episode 34, 33, something like that.
Yeah.
Go back and listen if you haven't. So Alec Marsh is the assistant coach of Hobart College, who's off to a great start, by the way. Their team is doing very
good.
well. Yeah, they're doing very well. The
Four-peat.
Statesmen, yeah, they are going for a 4-peat, which is sick. So Alec's been doing video with Dominic, right? And he's been giving me feedback after he breaks down all Dominic's shifts. And again, he does not think that Dominic is playing poorly either. So it's funny, like I'm saying, I think us as parents maybe aren't focusing on the right things sometimes. That I think maybe hockey coaches are focusing on other things that we are not focusing on. I guess my point is maybe we shouldn't be as hard on our children because maybe there's some things that our kids are doing right that we're just not seeing. Especially for myself, because I don't know the game well enough.
Yeah,
right?
Well, yep, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I will say that I think that I think it's what I'm taking away from this is that like it's important to talk to somebody who knows the game better than you do, you meaning you or me or whatever,
right?
And get their feedback. And then I think it's also worthwhile if I have an opportunity to talk to someone like that who's watched your kid and has an understanding, to also say like, okay, what is he doing well? What is he not doing well? And see if there's any alignment between what you're thinking and what they're saying,
Yeah. I have not done that,
Well, you should, because clearly
I probably should.
It might save you a lot of emotional bandwidth.
Yeah, probably. But I thought that was interesting that, from like three different coaches are saying different things than I am seeing. I thought that was
that's great, dude. That's awesome.
Listen, I suppose it is,
What do you mean?
But it clearly tells me that us as hockey parents we're all fucking stupid.
Well,
obviously I'm being facetious, but you get the point.
No, I think there are some that are better qualified to give, constructive feedback,
Right.
And, for someone that's not self-aware, that could get dicey. But no, man, I think having a conversation, if you're concerned about your kid's play or things that you've been going over with him or whatever or her, talk to the coach and be like, am I on point with this? Like, are you seeing the same thing? And if he's like, no, dude, like, that's not something I'd be worried about. Even if, let's just say, like, there's a skill that, like, or something about the game, an aspect of your kid's game. And, the coach, and you're right. Let's say your observations are right and the coach would agree. But like, he might say, yeah, but listen, you don't need to worry about that right now.
That's
like,
true. You're right about
that. That doesn't need to be a priority right now.
And you're 100% right about that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that happens a lot. I think us as parents sometimes are focusing on the things that maybe other people are not focusing on. Right?
Yeah. Well,
that maybe are not important at this moment in time.
So here's something that I've been observing watching Otto, and that's like at the faceoff circle, he has not done a great job of tying up his guy. And there's been a few times where had he tied up his guy so what he'll do is like if his center like doesn't lose the faceoff, meaning, he kind of pops out and starts getting into like, space to receive a pass. But if the puck doesn't go to their defenseman, there's times when he's not in there battling, and his guy, his opposite winger, forward, just like kind of walks in and picks it up and goes.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying that's every time, but I think like
I know what that looks like.
Yeah. So I'm not wrong to say, dude, like you have to tie up your guy until your team clearly has possession, and then like, move your ass and get into some soft ice or open space, whatever. But this weekend, he started tying up his guy more, and that was great. But the point is that like, that's something that maybe the coach would say is, I would find it hard to believe the coach would say that's not important. I think it's pretty nuts and bolts type stuff. But, maybe the coach sees it and just for whatever reason isn't giving Otto that feedback.
Right.
And so whatever. I think that's just an example of where I don't know what I'm saying. I guess what I'm saying is that, like, I think there are some things that you can see that are pretty obvious, but if you're unsure, talk to the coach.
No, you're not wrong.
But here's my question, though. Has that trickled down to Dominic at this point?
Does he know that those things?
Does he know that all three have said those things about his performance?
I mentioned the Blazers coach saying something to our coach. I told him that. I didn't tell him about Tyler mentioning that to me. And Marsh has told him that
directly. So 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
So tell him, dude. I mean, especially.
Yeah. I definitely will. I wasn't like not telling him on purpose.
Right.
But I thought that was an interesting observation, from like 3 totally different people. It reassures me that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Well, listen, I've talked to you a lot about this stuff. I don't think you don't know what you're talking about.
No,
but I think you maybe are over indexing on some things, or
I think that's true. Yes,
there's some things that might strike some emotional chords that just stroke
the emotional chord.
Stroke it.
Strike?
Is that what you do? You stroke it?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you.
No, you don't stroke emotional chords.
No, you stroke other things.
You stroke other. Yeah, got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you? Okay. Anyway, the point being,
not sure how to continue on from there.
I know. Where do we go from
right?
here? There's a lot.
How do you get out of that?
I'm not trying to get out of it.
Well, yeah, but
just
how do you like move on from that?
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, you just do it.
No, you just move on. But I'm saying you might save yourself some emotional troubles.
You might. I think this is true. I think you definitely might save some emotional troubles.
Yeah, so just go stroke it. That's what you got to do.
Stroking clearly.
If you're bent out of shape, just stroke it, and you'll be in a better way. All right,
Crazy Hockey Dads podcast, the X-rated version.
Yeah, well, anyhow.
Anywho, so Otto this weekend.
Otto, they won both games this weekend. That was great news.
Nice,
unless
man.
I'm misremembering something, because I feel like I'm fucking out of my mind right now. No, they won both games. Dude, the one game on Saturday, it was like this was I don't know how many times they played them, but certainly this time and the last time should have beaten them like 7-1, 7-0.
Yeah,
it's like they won like 6-5, but it was so aggravating to watch, kids that have like a good handle on the game in terms of like possession and like control and like the scoreboard, just to start taking fucking stupid stick penalty after stupid stick penalty. That's just like retaliation and like whatever. And it's like, come on, guys, are you trying to give the game away? And look, whatever.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
In any event, I thought I was gonna strangle Otto because he had it was 5-4, I think, at the time, and he was on the forecheck, and he was like first on puck, but he had hard pressure from behind, and he started putting on the brakes like behind the net, and leaned back into the kid and like reverse checked him basically. Okay, and I was like, great, they're gonna score on this fucking power play, and it's like, come on, man, like you don't need to do that. And he's like, well, the guy, I felt the guy on me. Like, what else was I supposed to do? Like, I don't know, like pick up the puck and start skating. Like, I don't know, like turn your back to him so he doesn't fucking get you in the numbers. Like, try one of those. Anyway, they won. Yeah. Nice. Then they won again last night, Sunday night. And I wasn't there. Orly was there, but she's texting me like, dude, he's hustling. He's being aggressive. He's really battling for the puck. I was like, awesome. Exactly what I want to hear. I don't care about how many goals he scores or whatever. Of course, then he comes home. He's like, dude, I had this sick pass to Chris. It's like, I got knocked over. I was on my knees, but I stayed with the puck and I sauced it from my knees. And I was like, okay, dude. It's like,
isn't it funny? Isn't it funny when they come home and talk like that?
Yeah, I mean, look,
You
I mean,
know?
for what it's worth, I went and watched it. And I was like, good
Was it
for you
nice?
for staying with the
Yeah,
play.
yeah.
You know what I
Nice.
mean?
Yeah,
But whatever.
That's awesome, man.
I don't want to like hate on that because that's like showing effort and like stick-to-itiveness.
Yes. So I have a question for you. You were mentioning that Orly. So when Nancy watches Dominic's games,
Yeah,
and she comes out and she's like, "Oh my God, he played so well," and I'm like, "What the fuck were you watching?"
Well, listen.
So is it the same with Orly? Because Nancy and I are like totally
in different planets,
total opposites. Like,
right.
I'm like, clearly you and I are watching two totally different games.
Right.
Yeah.
Our son is 22.
Yeah. Whenever Nancy says that, I look at it, I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'll go watch it and I'll.
Okay, but other coaches, Hobart assistant coach and his coach are all singing his praises. Maybe we see what the problem is here.
Listen, maybe I am the problem. Dad. There's no question about it. That's why this podcast exists. Right?
Yeah, well, we need like a 12-step program, and then we need one for like children of recovering crazy hockey.
I wonder,
parents.
I wonder if we should start like a crazy hockey dad's retreat in like, I don't know. Let's just pick Idaho because it's one of the two states that still haven't downloaded our podcast.
Oh yeah, we could get a listener there.
So we started in like Idaho, right? So like, just buy like, I don't know, 100 acres in Idaho and have like a retreat for crazy hockey parents that just want to like calm down and mellow out and not be so nuts, right? I mean, I wonder if what if we started that?
Let's get that on the calendar. Let's start planning that one.
If you build it, they will come.
Absolutely. It'll be like the next Burning Man or something.
That's right. Yeah.
Anyhow, so yeah, that was hockeying for the weekend. I think overall it was good going into the Thanksgiving break. We got a fucking game Sunday after Thanksgiving.
So do we. So we have a game Saturday, and then we have a full ice practice Sunday.
Perfect.
Speaking of Sunday morning, though, you and I have
that's what's up.
Very cool on the horizon.
Yeah, I got a great interview lined up. Thank you, JT. Can I call you JT now? Maybe
sure.
JT.
Sunday morning, buddy. I mean, oh my goodness gracious!
Let's go and eat my Wheaties.
We got a good one Sunday morning.
Fuck yeah!
Folks. Stay tuned. We have a real good interview Sunday morning. Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
100.
Yes. But before that, we have a really good interview right now.
Oh yeah, I know. It's 100%. So real quick before we do that, call out the partners. Howie's Hockey.
Crazy 10.
Holiday season is upon us.
It is.
Go buy the things that you need from Howie's Hockey: merch, swag, wax, tape,
gear, laces. Right.
Although I will say, I got laces from Howie's, and I need to replace one already.
What the fuck?
I know, bad luck. I'm going to chalk it up to bad luck. One's already ripped.
Damn it, Howie! You can't do that to us.
No, listen. I think I just had bad luck. It's like I go for the premium lace, and then I have the bad luck of getting whatever happened. Anyway,
do you do wax or no wax?
No, I definitely no wax.
No, bro, you need wax.
No, not wax laces. Are you talking about, or wax on the stick?
Wax laces.
No.
Yeah,
Homie, don't play that.
Wait, you don't do wax laces?
No.
Why?
Because I don't need it.
Well, it's for Otto, not you, but you don't do wax laces for Otto?
No.
Really? That's all I do is wax laces for Dom.
Well, listen, my guy also needs to figure out how to tie his own fucking skates. So
Dom knows how to tie his own skates.
Well, it also helps when they're waxed and it has a little more grip and bite.
That's why. Yes.
No, I know.
I think it's actually, maybe I'm wrong. We need to get somebody on here to tell us if we're idiots or not. But I would think that the wax laces would be easier for a youth kid to learn how to tie his skates.
I think for sure that would be true.
Especially like you said, if they don't have the strength to pull the laces, up.
Yeah.
I think the wax is probably helpful. Maybe you should get back to Howie's and or use our discount code and order some more laces in this time.
No, I need to.
Make sure they're waxed.
Not for me. For Pequeño.
Yeah, not for you.
For mini-me.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. For man.
Okay. So Howie's Hockey, Crazy 10, use it. Pro Stride, Elite Skating, Angelo Circe.
CHD 10. The New Jersey Devils trust him.
So should you.
So should you.
That's
he's got his clinics coming up. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure he's got clinics the next 2 or 3 days, if I'm not mistaken.
Are you going?
No.
I was going to talk to you about maybe figuring out going to one together.
I was debating. I was actually, listen, I mean, we should call it. I think they're sold out.
That's probably true.
If I'm not mistaken. But because we are who we are, I would think Angelo would slide us in.
He'd make room for 2, whatever, hockey dads.
I mean, listen, we do promote.
You know a guy.
We do. I know a guy.
You know a guy.
I know a guy. He's our partner, so I can't imagine why he wouldn't make an exception.
Fair.
Those are the perks of the job.
Well, TBD. We haven't tested those waters yet.
True.
But nonetheless,
I'll text her and see how
it's probably more because he's your neighbor than we have a podcast, if I had to guess.
During COVID, we took down many of alcoholic beverages on my porch.
That's what's up. Okay. And then we got Athletic Performance Insight. We got all of your tagging video analytics needs at API, athleticsperformanceinsight.com. Reach out to Eric, use the contact form, request a demo. Really take them up on it. It's an amazing software for game tagging, analytics, all the under the hood type stuff. Really helps coaching staff, parents go over video. Can't recommend it enough. We're using it with Otto's team. And so please check them out. Athletic Performance Insight.
$100 value. Mention Crazy Hockey Dads.
Yeah, get 10% off your season subscription.
Yep.
All right, so that rounds out the partners.
Love it.
Yeah,
love
100%.
It.
So, dude, massive interview coming up right now.
Just a good one, real good one.
Yeah,
the first of its kind for us. With all the interviews we've been doing, something a little different. The NHL's first mental performance coach.
Yeah, we got Vinny Malts on the show today. He's the founder of Bloodline Hockey, a leading mindset and performance coaching company. They help hockey players strengthen their mental game, leadership, and identity off the ice. Like, that's what Bloodline Hockey does. Something that probably is not done enough, especially at the younger ages. I was just listening to Chicklets, and they had a guy on there who's working with kids like 10U on the mental side of the game. But Vinny is no slouch when it comes to his own career. He played pro in the AHL and the ECHL, played over in Europe. So, I mean, he himself has experienced the firsthand challenges that all of his clients face, especially, the current NHLers that he's working with. Yeah. And then, after retiring, he started Bloodline, and he continues to work with players and teams and organizations across North America. Everywhere, youth, junior, college, professional programs, build emotional intelligence, communication skills. Man, it's just he's such a wealth of information. And you talk to someone like him, it's you have so many light bulb moments because he connects dots that on the surface, you're just oh, that totally makes sense. Kind of the why behind some of this stuff.
No, he's good.
So
he was really good.
Yeah, no, unreal interview, unreal person.
Yes. Yeah, really. And I think we actually touched on it during the podcast. I think I actually mentioned to him, we spend so much money as parents on stuff in this game, whether it's gear, power skates, stick handling classes, shooting classes, all this ice time and stuff like that, all these clinics. And yet I think us as parents, I don't think any of us focus on the mental aspect of our kids, right? We're doing all the physical stuff, but the mental aspect of this game is huge, especially today.
Yeah, when you've got crazy hockey fucking parents beating their kids over the head with all of the things they need to do better and different. I mean, dude,
couldn't have said it better myself, dude. You're 100% right.
Yeah, there should be a chapter in his his course on how to deal with crazy hockey dads, parents.
Yeah. No, he's an impressive dude, man. He was coaching. He coached at high levels. I want to say he coached 16U, 18U, 14U. He's a really cool dude. I think you guys are really going to enjoy the interview. Again, if NHL players trust him, maybe you guys should too.
He might know a thing or two.
Yes, and he's and you can find him at bloodlinehockey.com.
And I think I think he also said where he on Instagram.
Hmm?
Reach out to him on
Yes.
Instagram also, and we'll post his Instagram handle.
Funny, I actually have it right here. It's
good. Go.
Coach Vinny Malts, MAL, T as in Tom, S as in Sam.
All right, reach out
Yeah.
to him on Instagram.
Yeah, Coach Vinny Malts. Yeah,
All right.
good dude. I hope you guys enjoy the interview. It was a good one.
Yep. Ready to kick it over?
Here we go. Vinny Malts.
right.
I hope you guys enjoy.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to our next episode of the Crazy Hockey Dads podcast. And today we're interviewing Vinny Malts of Bloodline Hockey, mindset and performance coaching company dedicated to helping hockey players develop mental strength, self-awareness, leadership skills to thrive on and off the ice. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the first mental performance coach hired by the NHL?
Yes, first.
Yeah, that's no small feat.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Cool.
Congrats, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Amazing. And you also had a great career yourself as a player. You played up into pros, you played overseas. So if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about like your journey in the game of hockey and kind of what Bloodline's all about, would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I was born and raised in Philadelphia, and one of my dad at the time when I was a kid, I was like 6 years old, whatever it is, had a body shop and in Southwest Philly. And basically one of the guys working there goes, "This kid's energy, he's got to play hockey."
Oh, no way.
It was literally, so a guy at a body shop actually what got me into hockey.
That's funny.
He just knew it. He was just like, "This kid's got to play." And so yeah, that's where it began. Is like I grew up in Philadelphia playing like Old York Road, all that stuff started there, and then into the journey of little flyers, junior flyers, playing the back then what was AA is now AAA, all that stuff.
Totally.
And grew up doing that, and then left home for juniors and ended up with the whole Olympics and got drafted by Vancouver Canucks. I had an unbelievable experience there. I got to play for Claude Julien. Charlie Henry was the GM, was amazing. Yuri Fisher, Michael Ryder, like some unbelievable players that I got to experience with. And then, I ended up going into, played for about 9 years, minors, all that. Had the usual story of after I got drafted, I had a bad ankle injury. So we went through that. But it's what led to me from a coaching standpoint after my playing career. Got into coaching, fell in love with the player development aspect of it, not realizing where kind of things were headed. I was always I like to look at it as originally the way I was kind of doing things. I was doing things in the gym, working with players, right? Initially, when I first started our first company called Evolving Athletes, which is still our, parent company. But when I first started out, it was, all right, we're doing strength and conditioning and on-ice skill sets. And then here's why you're doing these things. Like, here's why you're doing this in the gym and how we're going to do this skill on the ice because it's going to develop what you do then when you play. So I was already integrating a lot of different things that were mindset or mental performance related in the way, I perceive it. And so went through that journey, started our company, started coaching, did some really cool things coaching wise, was up in Wilkes-Barre. We ended up building a program there, won a national championship at the time, at the U14 level, which was pretty cool. Like we went through that. We had Ivan Provorov, Smirnov. It was crazy. Daniel Sprong. Like we were just an insane.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yeah. The team was bananas. Whatever we wanted, all that stuff. And then, fun fact, the reason that USA Hockey changed their import rule was because of our team. Because we had that team, we were 11 or 12 imports and we won nationals in St. Louis and people went bananas.
Wow.
People were like, "What are you doing?" Like it was like,
so they fixed it after you. Yeah.
Yeah. We had like 5, 6 Canadian, we had 1 Dutch, 6 Russians. Like it was like the team was just like insane.
No way.
So they were like, USA Hockey's like, "No, we're not doing this anymore."
Wow. That's
so
wild.
it was fun. Yeah, it was fun to go through that experience. And then just basically, fell in love with the mindset piece, did my own work about 15 years ago is where my journey started. I basically, as I got into the coaching realm, I started to kind of have 3 or 4 seasons where when the playoffs would hit, I'd get really depressed. Like it was like, I'm coaching, I'm doing what I love, but there was this thing that suddenly was hitting me for a few years where it was like, what is going on? Like I gotta get my life together here. If I can't, every time the playoffs hit in April, May, I can't fall into this deep depression. And every single year is crazy. And that's kind of how I got into mindset performance was I did my own work I got into this Mindset Performance Institute program, was doing that for about 1.5 years, did the work for myself. And then when I came out on the other end, I was like, actually, players need this. And that's kind of how it all kind of came into, pulled together everything that I had done at the time. And then I went all in on myself with Bloodline Hockey and realized that's it. You know what? I feel like there's a need for this in the industry. And I got fortunate where we had done a summer program where I had 12 players came on board for a group. And when that was over, 10 of them came to me at the end of the summer and were like, hey, would you work with us individually? And boom, that's how Bloodline was born. I was like, yep, let's go. And then 10 years, what that started about 10 years ago now. That journey has led into some pretty cool adventures so far. So yeah, that's to where we are now.
That's wild. And so just because you mentioned it, in terms of your own personal journey with it and the depression that would come along with like the postseason, like when you peeled away that onion, well, like what did you kind of like discover about yourself and because I'm sure there's probably other people that might have like similar,
100%. It was a lot of the, you start looking back, there's the regret part of like, oh man, if only I did this, if only I did that, right? And what I didn't recognize was, like example, right? My parents, my dad and my mom were 17 and 16 when they had me. My dad was 17. Wow. So I grew up in a household, first generation, right? Ukrainian American Jewish, like coming to this country. They have no idea. I'm being raised by my old school grandparents who are just insane. Like it's just constant screaming and yelling and bananas in the house. Like my grandma, like my grandfather yelling at her, like getting the belt, like just pure insanity,
I remember those days. Days.
Right? So you get older and you get raised in the culture, and then you went through everything naturally, right? Because like the way I grew up in Philly was, I was outside and I played roller hockey, street hockey for as long as I could remember, right? I wasn't getting developed like all the lessons today. Right. My lessons were, if anyone who knows in Philly, like the two cars, you're on a street where two cars aligned. I could have literally, I took the kids back about 4 years ago. It was crazy to like go back, and I'd been back on our old street in Philly in years, probably like 2 decades at the time. And I got out and I was like, oh my God, I could almost touch the cars when I put my wingspan out. And I didn't realize what happened was, wow, like when I look back, I was like, from 9 to basically 14, I was playing hockey in a box, one-on-one against Mike and Dave Bonner. Like, Mike would play in the net. They were each 5 and 6 years older than me. So Mike would go in the net. I'd play against Dave for hours, and we were playing in a box. So like the skill of like just playing in tight,
small area game stuff.
That's it.
Yeah,
right. Over and over. So my hands became unreal because I literally just
had to. Yeah,
and exactly, and played against this guy. Yeah. And I didn't realize, like looking back. And then when we moved over, my parents moved over to Jersey later, of like when I was 16. And then what I started doing there was playing against in the street 2 or 3 against 10, 15 kids. So it was like a different kind of way of developing. So like for the listeners of like, those were 2 key moments where if you could do that, if you could replicate playing in a small area against somebody much older than you, who's passionate about wanting to play all the time, or, you get really good and then you just start to take like I tell our older players this a lot in the off season, go grab a couple of young kids and just you and another kid and try to make them better and play against like 8 or 9 of them. And just literally the whole time, they're going to be under your feet, all that stuff. Yeah. But literally you want to develop stick handling and decision-making and trying to find through all that traffic. What lessons do you need? You do that, watch where your game lands.
Yeah. And in an unstructured environment.
Yeah. I was just going to say that.
Right. Exactly. We talked to Bob Mancini about structure and how it's not so good to have so much structure. You learn just by hanging out, just loving doing it outside. And that's it. I think we're missing that these days.
Big time. So bringing that together, that's where, like going through all that, that's where a lot of the depression led, of where I came up very raw and blessed. And it was like one of those things of like, the conditions were built around me to succeed, which was wild, but I had no idea how I did it and what happened. I had no idea what actually happened, right? So the know-how, why, and all that stuff, right? Like any kind of professional, sustainable environment, you have to know how, the how-to guide. Here's how to build your business. Well, there's tons of books that tell you how to build someone else's, but to build your life, there's nothing that really exists like that. And so that's where I realized was, looking back on it, wait, I didn't have the skill set. I didn't have the mentorship. I didn't have people helping me to understand what I'm walking into. And so once I got injured, it was really hard, right? I went from this talent, I was like, wow, I felt amazing, to then when the injury happened, I was trying to get back to something that I wasn't anymore, right? It's the no man steps in the same river twice stuff. So I wasn't that same person anymore, but because I didn't know how I got there, the struggle was real of like, what if I did this? What if I did that? So the irony is on the one side, it made me awesome at coaching and developing and teaching. But on the other end, you can't go back. It's over.
Interesting. So there was almost like a lack of a blueprint. Is that what you're saying in so many words?
Yeah, big time. Right. Because it's like there was no real mentorship to understand. Like even example, guys, right? When I got injured, my agent was telling me at the time, oh, go talk to the coaching staff. Go tell them like, hey, the ankle's not feeling good, blah, blah. And it's like, here I am. Okay, I got to go talk to Claude Julien and tell him before a game, I can't play today. I'm shitting my pants. Like,
yeah, he doesn't want to hear that.
Yeah, like I'm only there 1 year that I've gone to major junior. I get drafted. All this stuff happens. And I'm like, and now I'm like a hurt fawn, right? Like I'm like sitting there, I'm like not feeling great about myself, lost my confidence because I'm injured. And you want me to go in there and have confidence and go talk about, hey, no, I'm not playing today because I'm injured. Like it was like all these things of like, why weren't you going and talking to them and telling them what's going on as my representation instead of putting me in that situation where I didn't know what to say? Like
that uncomfortable
as a young man, I was frozen.
Right. Yeah. That's so interesting. And go ahead, James.
No, I was just going to say, so it's funny you mentioned confidence, so my child struggles with that. He's up and down like a yo-yo. It's wild.
Yep.
It doesn't really help that he has ADHD, so that's kind of something else that he has to deal with. But
sure.
But like you said earlier, when you were a kid, he runs around like a lunatic. So hockey was perfect for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the perfect game for him because you don't stand still for very long.
Exactly.
But confidence, you happen to mention it, so I'll bring it up. What I've seen so Scott and I, we both had our kids play AAA, and then we both brought them down to AA. Okay. For different reasons, but my child was struggling with confidence. He had a really rough year with a very high level team, AAA high level. And I was like, we need a change. Right. Yeah. And Vince, I saw things that happened to, at the time, an 11-year-old that I didn't even think were possible. I'm talking like skating style changes, even like body tics. And I'm sure it has to do a little bit with anxiety too, but his confidence went into the tubes. I mean, I'm talking a kid who used to be a beautiful skater, almost couldn't turn to the right anymore.
Yep.
Vinny, it's crazy. And I'm sure you have a lot of experience with that stuff. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. Like it's funny, ironically enough, this past summer, I had a really interesting experience with nervous system work, right? I ended up out in Arizona going to see Dr. Sean Drake. Absolute beauty of a human being, right? It's like me and him are kind of like the Point Break. Like,
great movie.
He's crazy and I'm Keanu. It's just like, unbelievable spiritual life. And he's just a total gem.
That's right.
What it taught me was the first time about, from a nervous system standpoint, of how much we're not realizing the impact it has of when you're screaming, yelling at a kid. So to your point, this was a big thing. It's funny. The one thing I remember as a kid, it is what it is, old days, right? Old school, you're getting beat and you suck and all that stuff, right? So, but I always remember my mom would say, right, in Russian, she would always say, nervy. Like whenever like my dad something would happen and it was like, like this, whatever it is. And, you get hit and then my mom's screaming and it's like, she would always say nervy. So nervy means nerves. So it was like impacting me psychologically as a kid. I always remembered that. But then as you got older, the analogy I always gave to people was, there's a major issue that we understand about the nervous system is, why are we yelling at kids when they're 10, 11, 12, younger, whatever it is? When they turn 13, as an example, right? At 13, 14, when you go to high school, we know the science and the research of, you naturally start to compare yourself to your peers and you naturally go into that mode of, and you have all this nervousness now of, how do I look in front of my peers? Oh, am I getting approval? Do I have respect? And all this stuff. So all these ideas that I'm going to yell at you as an adult when you're 10 years old because I'm going to make you better. What you're doing is you're actually messing with the nervous system. And so what happens is, because you're now creating that emotional, quote unquote, trauma or that imprint on the child as an adult, you're making them think like their self-worth, like they're a scumbag, whatever you're doing. By doing that, you're literally shaking their nervous system to go, now I'm, fight or flight stuff. Now I'm frozen. Now my skating changes, my body changes, because the fluidity of my physiological nature has literally changed because of you scaring the crap out of me. by making me think something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
As opposed to, wait, let them play, let them do their thing, stay loose. And then when they get older, they're naturally going to start to think that stuff. But when you're younger, how much you actually develop, right? Your body naturally needs to feel. This is why we talk about play for that feeling as like our Nike Just Do It. It's like there's a feeling first, right? And this is backed up by neuroscience too, right? Sensation first, boom, then perspective gets built. Then there's a narrative. Oh, stove is hot. Oh, that was hot. Oh, that was hot. Don't do that again, right? And that's how everything gets built. So you get yelled at. You're in an environment that is boom. Ah, okay, now perspective. Wait, okay, there's something wrong with me. What can I do differently? And you go into your head instead of go play, kid, go play. Let's create the conditions and do that. So nervous system is a big one that I see of where what you're describing right away. The first thing I'm thinking of, that's it. His nervous system got impacted. No doubt about it.
Yeah, that sounds right, because I would get on him. I got to tell you, and I had to change that, which is one of the reasons we started this podcast.
Yeah,
because it was the wrong way to be, and I've had to totally do a 180 with how I deal with my kid. And it seems to be fixing itself slowly. But I got to tell you, I think a lot of parents out there kind of tear into their kid, especially in the car ride on the way home. And I think it does more damage, which you just described perfectly for everybody.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Let me ask kind of like to like piggyback off of that one. Certainly at the younger ages, you see kids for whatever reason have early success. Maybe they just figured out how to lift the puck before, all their peers. They're bigger, they skate faster. Like some things they just figure out first doesn't mean that the rest of them aren't going to figure it out. It's just a matter of when, right? But there's like the comparison of early success, and I feel like, at least as a parent, some of my like kind of crazy with it was rooted in seeing early success of other kids and then wanting my kid to reach similar levels. And then it's like, well, how come you're not there yet? And I need to like push harder, you need to, whatever it is. But in terms of like, and maybe it's worthwhile to talk about parents as well, but like from a kid's perspective, let's put their parents aside or the coach aside. That's like, giving it to them, but just from their own observations of their environment and their peers and seeing like, I'm not, because I think part of that happened with my son last season was he joined a new AAA team and he was a forward. And at some point, I think he decided that he was not as skilled as the other players on the team. And due to circumstance, they were rotating one of their forwards back to play defense like whenever, and he volunteers like, I'm going to play defense. I feel like he kind of ran away a little bit because he's this comparison thing.
Yep.
So if you could maybe like speak to that part a little bit and how, as parents, we can help our kids with that and maybe what kids are going through with respect to the comparison piece.
Yeah, exactly. So the first part of it, right? It's like, that's one of the things we always try to do is separate. That's such a like Western culture thing of like, the parts, as opposed to like knowing like the sociocultural aspect of what you just described, the FOMO from parents. This is what the driver is of what's going on, that when we grew up, we didn't have as much of the news all around us, media, of the comparison. Oh, look at this kid at this age doing it. Oh, did you hear about Johnny got committed to all this stuff, right? The rankings, that was a big thing that started to now, wait, we got to win by 6. We're going to start yelling at the kids, even though we're winning by 5.
Absolutely.
Right? So all the variables that kicked in is really what created a lot of it, right? With the players. And the players on top of it also, so to your point, there's a really good book called 10 to 25. And what it does is it makes the argument and explains how from 10 to 25, most young players, what they really need are young athletes or students and all that. Really what they're searching for is their biggest thing is respect and status. That's what's on their mind all the time, right? It's like they want the respect level, they want to know, and they want the status. Right? It's like they want to know that I can contribute to society. That's why a lot of it is I want to make my parents happy. I want to make my coach happy naturally. Like, so they're just doing this. So the peers, right, when they hit the teenage years, that gets even more of now you're adding the peer to peer of like, well, how is everyone else kind of looking at me, right? I want the respect, I want the status. So there's this combination of things that are going on that from their perspective, their behavior is being led by the social structure, right? So whatever they're observing, whatever they're taking in, now they want to adapt and go, I want to make others happy, right? So it's our way of surviving, right? Like, so as social beings, this is how we all survived as a species, right? Like, what was the worst thing that could have happened to you, hundreds of thousands of years ago? It's boom, you're out. You're out.
Right.
Like, you're on your
Outcast.
own. So once you're out of the group and you're out on your own, that was death. That was basically instant death. Like, you couldn't survive on your own.
Yeah.
But so that's how we evolved, right? It was like, oh, wait, how do I belong to the group? And so we were able to adjust our behavior based on group dynamics. And so that now, when you see the younger players coming up, now it's getting, boom, exacerbated. Like, wait, there's all these rankings. There's all these comparisons. There's, oh, he reminds me, he looks like Trevor Zegras a little bit, like the way he plays. Kid's 9 years old and you're already comparing it to an unbelievable NHL player. Like, what are we doing?
Right.
So it's baked into the system of how we do all this stuff of comparison all the time, right? Like, even coaching, what are we doing? Well, look at this team and this is how they play and look how they did. And we're always comparing naturally, right? Not intentionally, but just naturally. We're looking, oh, where are we in the rankings? And so there's this constant looking outward that what happens to the young mind then is, well, that must be, if everyone else is looking outward, well, I'm not going to go ahead against that. That must be the way the world works. So I'm going to have to compare myself to others all the time, because all the adults in the room that I'm around that are modeling, right? The mirror neurons, or if you want to get nerdy, but they're like the model of behavior and what I'm watching. Okay, well, if it's all about comparison, then I guess I should be comparing myself to others. So it's a learned behavior that's happening for everyone else. Again, it's natural. It's not intentional, but that's the part that we are not nurturing and getting ahead of and saying, this is creating a real issue socially for our kids because of this comparison aspect. This isn't good on how it's going into their heads, right? Because it's a lot of people think, oh, it's good. It's competition. It's good for us. Let's compete. And it's like, nah, when they're younger, they're already going to compete in some natural ways. But developmentally, we're not teaching how to actually observe and realize, wait, competing against yourself is the most important competition there is.
Totally.
Not competing against others. But the system doesn't teach you that. The system teaches you we're competing against somebody else. You've got to be better than that person. You got to be better. You need that too. Who do we need to call to help you get that too? And all that stuff, as opposed to, whoa. Come back to yourself. What are you doing? How did you get better? What are you doing to compete against yourself? And that, inverts the whole thing upside down. People talk about it, right? Yeah, you should compete against yourself. But we all know it's all crap. Like, we like to talk about it. We like to talk about connection and all these things that are important.
Right.
Our team's a family. But how much do we actually teach it? The two very different things.
Yeah. So sorry, James, but just on that teaching part, and that was like kind of like my follow-up to that, is that like with all this pressure that we're talking about that's on these young kids from their environment, from their parents, from their coaches, like how can we, as
exactly
parents,
what I was going to ask.
How can we teach them to handle this pressure?
Big time.
Because clearly one part of it is, as let's say an informed adult, we can learn ways to remove some of it, but there's going to be plenty that can't do that. But how do we teach our kids to handle this pressure without losing the joy? Because so many conversations are about fostering the joy and the passion for whatever it is. We're talking about hockey, so be it hockey. But what are some tools that we can use to help teach them how to handle this?
Yeah, exactly. Well, first and foremost is modeling of behavior, right? So like values are caught, not taught, kind of thing, right? Like Randy Maskell told me that, years ago from mentorship. And what it is that what people don't realize is like what you're modeling is going to be the biggest teacher there is. So with that, how am I modeling what I want to see of handling the pressure? So if as a parent, I don't handle pressure really well, I don't care what you say to the kid, they're not going to handle pressure well. Because they're going to learn, right? Attachment. Who's their greatest attachment to? Their parents.
Absolutely.
Right? It's like my family is like, I love you the most. So emotionally, what gets ingrained in you is I'm going to watch you guys and trust you the most in my early years. And depending on how you behave and what you do, that's how I'm going to behave and what I'm going to do. Model that. So that's first and foremost is, as a parent, as a leader, are you doing the work to work on your response, right? Like that's another aspect of, we're all very good at working on what I'm going to go do, the action. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to will myself to get stronger. And I'm going to read all the books and I'm going to read more information. I'm going to do. But what we don't do is, okay, so the action, right? As a parent, I'm going to tell you what you need to do. And I'm going to yell at you and I'm going to tell you, you need to play like this today and make sure you're doing this today. And you're going to tell all the things that you should be doing. But what we don't recognize is the other side of that. What's my response? That when my kid doesn't behave that certain way that I believe they should behave, what's my response look like? Do I have the emotional control in me not to get upset as a coach or as a parent, to not sit there and go nuts on you right away and turn around and go, I'm so mad at you because you didn't do what I wanted you to do. And I forget you're 9, 10, 11 years old. Like, why would they do what you're doing as an adult who you know how to think, you have wisdom, you have experience. You forget what it was like to be a kid of, you went through the same thing. So that response, training that. I can go to the gym and get strong, but what I'm not training is, wait, I also have to be strong on the other side is I'm having a natural unconscious response to my child that I said something to you, you didn't do it. And now I'm going to get really mad as opposed to, whoa, I got to strengthen that up. I got to strengthen the ability of my response and go, take a breath, relax, and go. So some of the favorite tools that I like, to work on, number one, it's building awareness to it.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got to identify a good exercise to do first initially is reflect on it and think about, all right, identify what actually triggers me in those situations. So is it in the car ride home of when I'm telling my kid and they're not listening to me? Is it during the game I said for them to do something and I see they're not working as hard, they're not moving their feet, and that really upsets me, right? Is it I told them to go talk to coach about something and they didn't do it? You got to find and identify your trigger, not your kid, not what you think about your kid, but what do you know in your own, hey, I know that really gets to me. That gets an emotional response from me. Then once you're clear on identifying that, now you direct it. Now you start to think about, all right, well, what choices do I have? Like, all right, so if my kid isn't following what I've asked them to do and they don't do it, what am I going to do in response to that? How am I going to handle that situation? Am I going to stop and take a breath and go, okay, let me pause. Let me pause for a second, breathe and let it out. And then just create that little reflection where just by simply pausing, I'm recognizing I'm about to go to that place. Now, okay, how do I want to respond? So in directing it, you're thinking about, all right, naturally, instinctively, I'm going to have the reaction. What am I going to do to control that reaction? And then now, what's that going to play out like? How am I going to talk to them? So what's the tone of my voice? What words do I want to use? And a lot of times what parents don't realize, one of the best ways is what's called motivational interviewing is guide the conversation, say, it's interesting today. Like, so how do you feel you played? How do you feel in that situation? What could you have done better potentially? So what you're doing is you're asking them the questions. So if you can stop, ask the question and let them explain to you what they saw, now you're allowing them to participate and do what they do. Right. So it's like, let them be the ones to figure it out. So it's being able to control that response with a breath as one kind of tool, using the reflection of identify, direct, and then the owning it is giving yourself wins. I did it. Hey, oh, you know what? I was in the car. I wanted to freak out. Hey, I own it now. Like, hey, I did it. In that moment, I didn't freak out the way I usually do. Boom, that's a point. Good job. Like, that's cool because you've got to recognize the improvement and the growth that you're making.
Totally.
So the framework is identify, direct, and own, which I am what I do. So it's identify the trigger, direct it. How do you really want it to play out? And then own it. I did it. Cool. All right. I actually did it. Or I learned from what I had just done. Now, boom, come back and reflect again. And let me go through that process again, over and over again.
Makes a lot of sense.
It's so funny. You just went over that because I think that's a really big problem in the game today. I think a lot of parents, mostly dads, but I've seen it with moms too. They don't model the correct behavior. And they, frankly, what you just said is they need to work on themselves.
That's it.
Right. I mean, it took me years to figure that out. And I figured it out by, it's funny. I wish I'd spoke to you years ago, but because how I figured it out was I was realizing that I was not helping my child.
Right.
Right. So now I'm trying to,
it's normal, right?
Unfortunately.
But that's the point. It's like example, right? What people don't realize, there's a big misconception of when, in a pro environment, college environment, the highest environments, we talk about this all the time of like, hey, you're going to have the reaction. You're going to go nuts. Sometimes you're going to get angry. It's okay. And what I point out is one example of like how I deal with my kids, right? Of where a lot of work going on. And even me, right? As a trained professional and stuff, I'll snap on the kids also. Like I'll do that as well. Like when they're, particularly when they're upsetting mom, that's what really gets to me is like,
I'm with you with that one. 100%.
Non-negotiable. So
100%.
when that happens, I snap. But then what happens is when I snap, so let's say hey, how many times I tell you? Within 5 to 10 seconds. And you can, like, if the kids were here, they would tell you point blank. I'm like, within 5 to 10 seconds, I'll stop. I'll go, hey, guys, that's not how you behave and how you want to react. Because you understand why I just reacted the way I did. You guys know how I roll, how I want it to go. I don't want to get that upset. But guys, come on. The way you're behaving right now, tell me, is that the right way to behave? So literally, they'll see the transition happen in real time within seconds. But I've trained myself, right, of knowing, identify. I don't want that. I don't want them seeing that energy. I grew up with that energy. It didn't help. I don't want their nervous system. I know all that. I don't want them to feel that. But I want them to see it's normal to have a reaction. But your response, that's the game. How good because everyone reacts. Everyone reacts. Everyone's going to have an instinctive reaction.
Yeah.
The response, boom, right? Like I love how George Mumford talks about this all the time, right? Of like, okay, the response is really what it is. How quickly do we go from 2, 3, 4 days, I'm pissed, to 10 seconds? Can you do that? Like that's the game is as you're developing is, can you keep shortening and shortening and shortening that response time? That's what you're developing more than anything.
Right. That makes sense.
So it's funny, you brought up your parents. So what were your parents like? You brought up a little bit in that last conversation, but what were your parents like when you were a kid coming up and you didn't do something that they wanted you to do? What was that like?
Nuts. Getting punished, beat, right? All the usual stuff, the belt.
Yeah.
You get the belt in the corner, right? You got to stand in the corner. I tell the kids, like, literally, like,
nowhere to hide.
Because that's like, he would make me stand in the corner like this with my nose. Like, my brother, I don't think, I think those 5 years, I don't remember him ever coming out of the corner. Like, so it was that, old school way, right? But also a lot of passion and love, right? Like it's like the misconception people think it's always like, oh my God, it's always so bad. No, like when it was bad, it would be bad. It was intense. But when it was good, it was awesome. Like super loving. Like I think about you think about the tournaments and how much they, drove and invested into, you're going to do hockey and you're going to play and we're going to take you to all these tournaments and take care of you. And it was like sitting in the back on 6, 7, 8 hour, 6, 7, there it is.
That's appropriate. That's appropriate for today.
You're such a dad.
You knew it was coming in. It's natural, right?
Yes, very.
So, and it was going through the stuff, but now I can reflect and go, wow, they did way more good than bad.
Right. Yeah.
But you remember the bad stuff in that way, but they did a lot of good in the way where, it was cool to be like, when I just think about, it was, I was blessed in the way where they weren't telling me everything. He was telling me everything to do when we would go to the games, right? When we would go to the games, it was nonstop. You sucked. You didn't do this. You need to do this. We would fight with that stuff, right? Because people would always ask, how did you last if it was so insane? I'm like, well, it's funny. Ironically, we would practice twice a week. And then we'd play games on the weekend, which would be, a couple days, whatever it was. But during the week, the majority, 8, 9 hours of play, multiple days a week, 3, 4 days a week. What was I doing? Street hockey and all that. I wasn't around my dad.
Right.
The majority of my experience of what was happening was filtered with what? Playing in the street, having fun, creating, being in a box, Right. So I played so much. I think now when I look back, that's what offset and kept the love going, is because I was playing so much. And then I had this other side that was like this other duality to it, which was like misery, because I always sucked, right? I tell me all the time, I was like, 90% of the games I sucked. Like old school Ukrainian dad, it was like, I always sucked. I was never good enough.
Right.
Which again, did its own quote unquote damage, but it wasn't enough to override. But I had so much of freedom of exploring on my own. So even though it was kind of intense when we were together at times and all that stuff, right? And the game situations that's what really triggered him. But the rest of the time I was doing my thing, and like practices, rarely would he say anything during the week. He wasn't saying much. But then when I was out on the street, he wasn't there. When I think back, I'm like, wow, I don't think he ever actually watched any like roller hockey or street hockey when I was playing. Like, I don't think he was ever out there. Like it was always go outside, play. So that's where I think was the distinction, right? Is like played so much that it just offset all the intensity and craziness that was going on.
Well, so with that though, the intensity and the craziness. So we're talking a lot about like modeling, like, behaviors, more so like pulling back in a lot of ways is kind of like what we're touching upon. But surely there's times when you need to push, right? And so, like, as human beings, naturally we're lazy in a lot of situations. And with the younger kids, or, even when we were kids, there was like video games, but not as much. But, there are points in time when like you need to push your kids to go out of their comfort zone, because if
100%.
left to their own devices, they won't do that for themselves. So I kind of wanted to touch upon like how like the recognizing when to push versus when not to. And coupled with that is, in terms of like, I don't know, like my kids just turned 11, let's say 10, like let's say 10 to when we finish high school, 10 to 18, 10 to whatever. Like, what are some of the common barriers that kids are struggling with in those age groups? And if you can kind of like tack that on to like the push and pull on how we can help kids navigate this stuff.
Yeah, great question. So the biggest thing is, again, it comes back to environment, right? So the modeling aspect of the social feedback you're getting. So something that I've observed recently that was kind of funny of how it's kind of shifted in my mind was last year with my son's mite team. I would always say, all right, what are the rules, right? We would talk about the rules, and we talk about have fun, work hard, right? And respect, all that stuff, right? This year now, all I say is respect. Automatic, number one rule. Number one rule, right? Say it to my son, or hey guys, what's the number one rule? Now the kids are getting used to it. Number one rule, respect, respect. Why? Because what I heard was I hear NHL players, I hear other players talk about go work hard, have fun. Go work hard, have fun. And I'm like, wait a second. Working hard and have fun, that is a responsibility of the leadership to create the conditions for working hard and having fun. Like me telling you that, hey, go work hard. Well, it doesn't really work that way. Like you're going to work hard either A, because you want to on your own, or B, you're surrounded by other people that are working really hard. So it's survive or die kind of thing. It's like,
Right.
Adapt or die, right? It's like, oh man, I got to go. So that's the part that I think a lot of people miss in terms of the environmental structure of who am I surrounded by and what are the conditions. So that's
Yeah.
why a lot of gamification where, okay, the kids might not be working as hard. Well, if you gamify it and you turn it into points now that, hey, a 2-on-1 game, and how many goals can you make? How many passes can you make? When you start to do that, you want to see them work hard, gamify it, turn it into a points, boom, they're going to start working hard right away.
Right.
So the combination of how we're structuring the environment of are we creating this gamified kind of like this is fun, I want to earn points, can increase the likelihood of working hard, but then also the environment of, well, who are they surrounded by, right? Are they around other players that they work hard, they're driven, they're doing that, right? So it's a lot of that type of stuff. And then the other thing too that I found years ago that I would play around with is always fun, right? Is I'd grab the phone, and when I was doing like stick handling work with the kids and all that stuff, I'm like, you're live on YouTube. You're live on YouTube. And it's unbelievable when you do this and you're live.
I was going to say the energy comes out, the effort comes out. I didn't even think about that. That's a good point.
Yeah. So again, right. What did that prove to me was right. Social feedback. They don't in front of their peers the way they're looking to others. So how do we engage that mechanism? So it's a lot of that, right? Of where, how are we producing where we think I'm going to tell my kid to work hard. It's not about telling your kid anything. It's about your kid recognizing in the real world, oh man, if I want this thing, I'm going to have to work harder to get it. And so instead of us telling them what it's going to be like, we have to recreate the conditions for them to feel, oh man, this is really hard. So like, because this is so hard, now you give them the opportunity to think about, do you really want to do it? Right. So like example, my daughter, she's in dance, and we're having this conversation all the time of the environment she's with her team. It's a big commitment, 5 days a week. They're doing a lot of stuff.
And how old is she? How old is she?
She's 11. So she's
11.
going to middle school now, right? Yeah. So we're constantly reflecting back on it and go, hey, this is what you signed up for. You're committed to it, right? So to your point, that's the other side too, where, for us, at least as a family, and this is where parenting gets in of you have to know what are your values and what you believe in, right? It can't always just be, hey, Coach Vinny said this. Like, please do not just listen to what Coach Vinny says and that's it. Do your own research as parents. What do you want for your kid? Don't listen to me. Like, I'm doing what is good for my family and our kids, what we believe in. You do what you believe in, but you've got to figure out what you believe in. And so, with her now, we want to have those conversations over and over again. So she deduces and comes to it on her own of, do you want to keep committing to this? Because yes, it's hard. It takes a lot. Yes, we know. Okay, you're crying, you're upset. It's really challenging. We know. But again, that's what you signed up for. It's going to be really challenging. So we're there to support you, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't keep coming and complaining and saying it's so hard and not realize like there's certain aspects of it, whether it's stretching, whether extra work you're going to have to do. This is what it is. So if you're going to do it, you still have the remaining, part of this year to do it. You're going to keep doing it. We don't quit because we know it's seasonal. Hey, there's going to be an ending to it. And then you're going to make a choice. But we keep reminding consistently every couple of weeks or every month when there's that blow up, hey, remember we talked about this? This is what we mean. If you want to keep working like this and you want to keep staying in an environment that's like this, we can't see you blowing up all the time. Because as a parent, we're watching that this is creating way too much stress on you. So if there's this much stress on you, that's not healthy to us. We don't mind you going another 3, 4, 5 months with it. We'll manage it. We're going to keep reminding you and parenting you. But if you keep doing this and it doesn't change, and this is something that is just making you go nuts all the time, and it's really stressing you out, then clearly you're in an environment that's too great for what you want.
At this moment in time.
Bingo. It shows up. You don't want it like that because there's other people that are doing it that when they're doing it, it's like breathing to them. They're not complaining like this. They're not freaking out.
They're handling it.
Say that you're freaking out right now. We're going to hold you up. We're going to help you out. But we're not going to keep doing this year after year and making it so you're going to work so hard because it's not supposed to be this hard. And that's what I know as a high performer, right? That we always push on to help people realize. Like we always point out to, other players. You've got to realize the simple baseline stuff. Eating right, going to the gym, working on your skills, building connections and relationship with your coach. These are baseline things that players at the higher levels are doing before they even work on their mindset. They are naturally doing it like they're breathing air. So if I have to convince you to eat right, if I have to convince you to go work on skills, I have to convince you to go to the gym, you're not there. If I have to convince you to do any of that stuff, then you're not even close to that level because that level, their baseline is just that automatically. That to them, that's not a, what do you mean you don't go to the gym? What do you mean? They would look at you like, huh? So if you're trying to battle with that, you already have no chance because to them, that is just a part of their natural way of being. Like, what do you mean you don't do that? Of course you do that if you want to survive. And that's just the baseline of, well, now you have to be in an environment with everybody else that's just like that and get through and figure out how to battle with those types of human beings.
So, James, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so it's funny. I feel like Scott and I don't want to say it was, but Scott and I kind of did that by taking our kids from AAA down to AA. I can only speak to my child. He kind of had like, a big fall, right? I mean, all of a sudden, it got very hard. There was a lot of stress. Every time he came off the ice, he had tears in his eyes. Regardless, he wasn't happy with himself, So we made a change, and maybe at that time, mentally, he wasn't ready, right? He was 11, right? So as a parent, when do you know that it's time to make a change? Like how much stress is too much stress? What are the signs, right? That a parent knows, hey, listen, like, because some people also think that when they leave AAA to go down, they'll never go back, which is foolish, right? But I'm curious, Vinny, what are your thoughts on that? Like, how can a parent recognize when, hey, listen, like there's a problem here and we need to not do this again?
Yeah. And again, generalizing in its most easiest form for the listeners to like simplify it is consistency. If it's consistent where this is becoming more than we can handle. As a family, we're fighting. It's creating a lot of tension, but it's consistent. Yep. It's for months now, months and months. And we're not able to stabilize it, right? Like if it just becomes out of control where that's it, like we're constantly stressed. We're constantly angry with one another. And you can tell it's impacting the ecosystem of the family.
Of the house.
That's pretty much where now like, okay, something has to change about what's happening. Because we can get stressed out every couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's normal.
It's normal. The normal stress is normal. But when it becomes 3, 4, 5 months, and you now see this has been going on for a while, there's your sign. There's your sign. It's not supposed to, like when we talk about regulation, right? Like down regulating, it's supposed to come back to normal, right? Like all homeostasis stuff. Like our bodies, right? Where the temperature, like we have, there's a balancing act that's always happening as human beings. We're always trying to regulate. If we get sick, okay, how do we get healthy again? Our bodies are always trying to regulate, come down, right? So when that regulation becomes dysregulated in a way where it's nonstop and it's over and over and over,
not coming back to the baseline,
you're doing damage. It's too much. We're not down regulating. Okay, we're all over the place. We haven't felt peace in a while. This isn't good. So once you hit that stage and you feel it, again, you might feel for 3 weeks, not concerned, but when it becomes the easiest way is if you go 6 to 8 weeks, start to pay attention. This is a problem.
Right. All right. So let me ask you a question. So a hockey season normally is long, right? Yep. What happens if at the beginning of the hockey season, right? And let's say you start in August. So let's say by the beginning of November, you're seeing that over a 2-month period.
Yep.
What do you do for the remaining 4 months? Like, how do you handle that as a parent?
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's like different steps, right? Because it's all cultural. It just depends on the environment that you're in with the coach, right? So is it an environment with a coach, hey, you know what? It's challenging. We're losing games or whatever it is. So the coach is getting ahead of it as a leader and talking to the families about it to help offset that. So is it as a family, you're going and you're talking to the coach, hey, here's what we're dealing with. We're kind of stressed out, right? Versus are we in an environment that doesn't help with that? We don't have these discussions. We don't talk about it, and there's constant anger. So now as a family, you start to talk about it, and that's what you have to recognize, right? The modeling.
Yeah.
And this is where parents have to come in and go, all right, if I believe that you're not going to quit and we're going to keep doing this, then I've got to change and show you how I'm going to model the behavior that we're going to go through this. So what kind of steps and solutions? So instead of, hey, it's a problem, it's a problem, it's a problem. Well, hold on. You know, maybe husband, wife, we talk about it and we go, all right, you know what? Okay, we've been doing this for too long as a problem. Yeah. Let's start to move into solutions mode. And so you start figuring out solutions with your child and you start to figure out, okay, what can we do now? We know it's hard. We know the team's not very good. We're losing a lot. You know, the coach isn't consistent in the messaging. Coach was playing favorites, all the common things that might pop up, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to get to the source of it and have those discussions, real conversations calmly. Hey, you know what? Yeah, coach is playing favorites and you are on the, you know, third line or fourth line or whatever it is, and it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to deal with. We get it. How are you feeling with it of where, you know what, even though it's hard to deal with, you know what, we committed to it.
Yeah.
How can we go talk to coach to keep on getting better? Maybe we can get you lessons with somebody else, or we can get you into another group that at least you can have some fun with. Right. We can maybe go do another sport or another activity to kind of create another environment. We can come up with ways like that. Because that was always when I was working with a lot of like youth, you know, years ago, of where that would be one of the biggest things I would tell our players is, well, what are you doing to get out of the environment? Where are you going? Like I remember one player that was even in juniors, right? That was young at the time, 17, and realized, you know what? Going to church was actually really cool for me because they would go Sundays away from the team. Yeah. And it was like a place that they would sit.
Reset himself. Yeah.
Yeah. It was Greek Orthodox. He loved it. Yeah. He was like going there for like 3-4 hours. And he was like, wow, it's amazing. I got out of the day to day. And by feeling that again, boom, he felt good. I was able to go back to the team. So it's figuring out other ways of, we're going to deal with this, but what are solutions? Can we find another environment? Can we have you hang out with your other friend more? Can we do the things that you actually enjoy more? Right. Because again, right, it's where I'm not enjoying this. We're in it, but what do we know about ourselves as a family that we do enjoy this? So can we create a little more joy, right? Like the way when, you know, playing in the street, I enjoyed that naturally. Right. Didn't know it was happening at the time. Now when I reflect, it's the same idea, right? It's, okay, well, what can we do to fill our lives with a little more joy in that way?
Right. So let me ask this. So we talked about a few things like that you just brought up. Like you brought up the idea of like going from like first line to second line. Jamie brought up how both our kids went from tier 1 to tier 2. Yeah. So like let's like bucket those things as potential setbacks, right? Yep. Or perceived setbacks, right? Perceived setbacks. So in terms of helping kids, you know, at various ages, but like to interpret those setbacks in a positive way. Yep. And like, even like, you know, my son, you know, he said, I want to go back to AAA. But he's had his doubts that like, now that he's played tier 2, it's going to be like that much harder to get there. And there's some truth to that. And, you know, for, you know, circumstances, whatever, but it's far from impossible. Yep. But really, like, what can we do to help teach our kids how to interpret and deal with what they're perceiving as a setback?
Yeah, exactly. So I always love narrative work, right? So there's, you know, narrative therapy and building up. It's all a story. The reason they're having that setback narrative in their mind is because they have this story of, oh my God, I'm going to fall behind. I'm not going to make it, all this stuff. So the replacement of the story, right? What happens is most of the young kids coming up now is they're very outcome driven in their story. I got to score points. You know, I've got to be able to lift this amount of weight. I've got to make this team. I've got to get drafted and on, right? As opposed to process-based story. What's the process that's actually happening? So one of the easiest ways to start engaging with that is sit down and do this exercise together as a family, separately, Have the kid do it, have the parent do it, right? Of where, why do I love to play? Why do I love to play? So have the kid write down, why do I love to play? And be detailed, right? Write down what is it I love about this experience of playing hockey, playing, like, being a part of it. What is it that I love about it, right? Why do I love to go there? And then the parent, same thing. What do you love about it? And then what happens is when you come back, you'll start to see, all right, the kid says, well, it might be, I love to score goals. I love when when everyone on the bench gets excited about a big play. I love when we win, right? It might be any of these things that come up of like, this is what I love about it. It's a lot of fun to be in the locker room. Any one of these things can pop up. Now you reverse engineer. Okay, so that's what I love about it. Then what's the process look like? So if I love to score goals, well, then what are you doing day to day? What can we do then to create more opportunities to score goals? What are you doing? Like, can I talk to my line mate more? Can I practice my shot more? Right? Can I make certain plays where I can give and go? Can I go to the net more often because a lot of goals happen there? So what you start to do is thinking about process-based language on, so what can I do day to day that actually feels like I'm going to go experience the process as opposed to the outcome of I scored? Because this is what we unwind big time with our players all the time, is get them to realize, well, what were the behaviors that led to what happened? So it's the behaviors of the experience. So step one is, why do I love to play? Like, here's what it is. But then you reverse engineer and go, so what behaviors is that going to require for me to have a good time doing that? And so what happens is, now that you develop that language system, now you have something to talk about consistently about that. Oh, so you were trying to make that play. Oh, what happened on that play? Yeah, I was trying to make it there. Maybe your team lost 6-1, and it's another heartbreaking, oh, that stinks. Instead of us talking about 6-1, what we're going to talk about is, yeah, I saw that play. That was tough. Yeah, it was really hard. Like, I noticed their defensemen, like the way they gap up, they're really quick on you. So, yeah, I've got to work on how I protect the puck in that situation a little bit more. And then maybe I can pull up and be a little bit more deceptive. So now you're talking more about the process of what's going on, and you can nerd out on that. Really talk about why you love it, what you're doing, and the creation, right? What you're doing of how you're focusing in on your process of, how am I getting better at this?
Well,
as a family too, by the way, same dynamic as a family.
Yeah, and so thinking about younger kids, and I think there's a maturity factor in what I'm about to say, but like, let's just take skating, for example, right? Like, a kid wants to be a better hockey player. They need to become a better skater, but they don't like to do skating work, right? And so at some point, like you were saying, when you think about the professionals or like D1 college athletes, like their baseline is it's there. Like they love the suck, if you will, or it doesn't suck to them. Let's put it that way. But to what extent do you like push? I don't know, push younger kids? Do you just wait until the maturity happens? Like if my kid says I need to score more goals, well, so, okay, go shoot more pucks. I don't like shooting pucks. Well, okay, do I make them? You know what I mean? Or do I just wait until they figure that out for themselves?
So happy you stepped into this question. Right. So, this is the part that I always share. So the skating example is a great one. Right. So I'll give you a context of, so last summer, right? So each summer I teach my son, take the bag, boom, May hits, I drop it. I go, that's it. We're done. See you in August. Right. Because I want to know, like, hey, we're going to take a break and we're going to do something else. He loves soccer, right? Loves soccer. So knowing that, I know skating muscles are going to get developed by playing soccer.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
so my dad, right? He's like, what do you mean he's not skating? Right? I tell my dad, it's like, he's not going to skate this summer. He's like, what do you mean he's not going to skate? How is he going to get better? I'm like, watch. Right. So I know now the conditions. Love soccer, boom, soccer. He's playing with the team. There's a kid down the street that he plays with. I'm just soccer. He's on the ground, developing his force production, the agility, and I know what's happening. He's developing his skating. Because of all the movements that he's doing, naturally, because he loves soccer, I'm going to let him go do that, and it's still developing. So even though I'm not on the ice and he's not doing it, and he's not thinking in the context that we think it is, what I'm always looking for is, yeah, but he loves soccer. So, and I know as a developer, that will still develop his legs and where he needs to go. So eventually, when he starts to get older and he starts to hit 13, 14, he may decide, you know what? I really love hockey. I'm going to work on my skating. Now he's ready to take in all the technical, and he's going to go at it. But in the meantime, the foundation's being built, right? The structure of his legs are still being built in soccer. So that's the example for parents is, are you fighting for the natural alignment instead of fighting and saying, you need to do this and you need to do that? Can you find other ways around it and say, well, all right, you know what? They're going to do this, or they like to go run outside with their friends and play. So at least they're on the ground. Can you see it in a different light where they're still developing this when they do this?
Right.
That's the art.
That makes sense.
You know, it's very funny that you just said that, because our interview with Bob Mancini, Scott asked the question, you know, because he was talking about putting your bag away too and going and doing something else, another sport, right? I think he said something, it was a very high number of U.S. men's national development players were multi-sport athletes, right? I want to say he said like 87%. It was a high number, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But so what Bob was saying, Scott was asking, you know, if we go play another sport, does it have to be a structured sport like soccer, like football, like basketball, like baseball? And Bob said it could be going out and riding your bike, going out and playing tag with your buddies.
Bingo.
It could be going out and
Bingo.
doing jujitsu, boxing. It didn't matter, you know. And that was a question that Scott and I have had for years. You know, does it have to be another structured sport? And his answer was no, as long as you're doing something, which is exactly what you just said.
Bingo.
Yeah.
100%. And again, it's as a parent knowing you're a kid and looking for that, right? Like our values are, we're always looking for that, right? I'm always talking to my wife about that, of like, what are they naturally gravitating towards? And we're watching it. And it's hard for other people to understand it, right? Because they think, right? Like even with my might team, right? I had one of our coaches, he's like, when are we going to get serious? And I was like, yeah, it's pretty serious.
You're like,
yeah, I was going to say that. Getting serious, bro. Like, yeah. And I love him. He's like, he's a total gem. And I know when he watches this, I was like, yeah, that's right, coach.
Yeah. That's funny.
But it's this idea of, we think it's serious about what?
Yeah.
About what?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Like, what are we getting serious about? Like when they
Nothing
turn
at that age, zero.
Even worst case scenario at 12, 13, they decide to be serious. They've got 3 or 4 years ahead of them to then get to the serious people. Like I tell people all the time, like nobody literally cares and starts watching till you're 15. Well, they start to watch, but they don't really care of what you're doing, where it's like, okay, it's time to put up or shut up is 16, 17, right? Another 6, 7. There it is, right? it's really like, because that's the age where if it's not there at 16, 17, the changeover of it to junior is like, okay, it's not going to, it's hard. Once you're 19 and you figure it out, there's juniors, like you're probably done. Like you're not going to get the environmental constraints you need to develop into what you need to develop. And that's the part that we don't realize. Like we have plenty of time. What are we doing? Right. Even myself, when I think about, I didn't get in the gym until basically 16 and a half this summer. Right. So I was always kind of like wiry. I mean, I had a natural wiriness and strength and all that stuff. But when I finally went to Freight Acceleration in Boston, I got in the gym, you know, and I went from like whatever it was at the time, I was like 180 to 205, right? A bunch of people locally, like in the area of where I was from originally here in Cherry Hill. Oh, he's doing steroids. Oh, he's doing steroids. No, I'm doing 318, bro. It's 318. Yeah. That's right. but when that happened, I got strong. It was like, whoa, a whole nother player came out.
Yeah.
I was almost 17. But it was like, I was playing. And I was always good. But locally, nobody would have thought he's going to get drafted. I had my local coach, right? Bud Dombrowski was saying, he's like, forget about the NHL, Vinny. It's never going to happen. Like, no one from this area, it doesn't happen, all that stuff. I leave home, boom, I start working out. And now it's like, whoa, what happened? It's like, because no one knows. I was almost 17, basically 17 when that happened. No one knows. And that's the part that we think by working harder, we're going to speed up nature. And it's just not reality. And that's, again, these are the discussions we just don't have nearly enough of, like what Bob's talking about. And anyone who's in the realm knows of, like, that's why multi-sport and all that stuff, right? Like, that's why it's fun to watch, you know, be able to say to my dad, to your point, right, on the skating. Yeah. It was so much fun. He comes and sees him, and he sees him in September. He's like, oh, he looks better. He looks better. Like, he does, huh? Guess what? Soccer. He wasn't doing skating all summer. It was soccer. Yeah. But we just don't, you know, we're not, and again, another point on it, we're not taught this. We don't discuss this enough to give parents permission to not feel so crazy because, oh, that's the reality. Okay. Everyone else is doing that. Okay. As opposed to, you've got a lot of parents that, boom, spending, and their kids are on the ice and they're unbelievable right now, right? There's some kids, my son was playing on a team, right? And he was like, oh my God, like he played on my AAA team this summer. He's like, they're so good. And I go, right, because they skate a lot and they do a lot of stuff, buddy. But trust me when I tell you, you keep going and just do your thing. Don't worry about it. Do your thing. I promise you, in 2 to 3 years, you're going to catch up to all of them. You're going to be on the same plane. If you want this, if you want to do this, you just keep doing what you're doing. You're going to be on the same level, buddy. You're going to be fine. You don't need to chase and be at that level. Wherever they are and they're going to land, they're not going to expedite physiologically, biologically, how they're going to change. They're not going to make themselves faster and better. And none of it, it's not reality. It's okay.
Everybody comes back. Everybody.
Always.
So kind of like with, so kind of like what we're talking about now, you know, the overinvestment at the younger ages, et cetera, something that often comes up that we talk about is the idea of burnout and like, you know, overly identifying with hockey. Right. And we're talking, you know, this whole conversation has given a lot of ideas, information, and thoughts about how to avoid that. But like to like be like, I guess, a little more direct in answering like the idea of avoiding burnout.
Yep.
Like, are there like a few like, you know, best practices, like top 3, top 5 that you would recommend to families on like, you know, these are things that we're not necessarily going to avoid burnout, but if you do them, you're increasing the likelihood of burnout.
Yep. Great question. So I always think of it as initially the story of, you know, Johnny Gaudreau, rest in peace, of I always used to give this insight to parents back in the day. Right. I was over at Pro Skate and I was doing like hockey director. So there was one local AAA kid that I was working with that was 10 years old. And I remember the dad asking me, worried about burnout. And he was like, oh, how do I know if I'm burning him out? How do I know? I'm like, did he ask to be here at 5:30 in the morning? Yes, he did. He woke up on his own, blah, blah, all this stuff. I'm like, great. And I would give the analogy. I was like, Johnny Gaudreau, like all of you guys think you're by doing too much, I'm afraid I'm going to burn out. I remember Johnny playing 8-9 hours at Hollydale, would play. And there was no burnout. He was a part of teams that played 100 games a season. There was no burnout. Why? Because he loved it that much that there was no such thing as burnout in his repertoire because he loved it like that. So that's one of the first signs is being mindful of, is my kid obsessed like that? Is my kid always on their own? Do I see them on their own, doing things on their own, stick handling, shooting? They're asking to go do things on their own. So that's the first sign. Let them be the dictator to that. Like, it's like they're dictating and telling me. So if you're seeing that, boom, you're good. Now, if you're not seeing that, and this is the other side, is that if you're the one pushing that, you need to do this, you need that, and you're catching yourself and you're doing that too often, and you can see, okay, I'm aware. Yeah, I'm the one that keeps driving the narrative. You need to go do more. That's how the number one way you're going to produce burnout. Because if it's not, kids are kids, they want to play. All the research backs it up. They're playful by nature, right? We start out as artists and creative. We want to play. Once you start taking away that mechanism of play, you're trying to turn them into an adult with responsibility. So once you start to take that away, that's what happens of why burnout starts to happen is I want to play and you're making it all serious. So the more serious it starts to become and the more we take away play, the more it's like, I don't like this. And the more the nervous system starts to feel, I don't like this, the more the mind starts to feel, oh, this stinks, the greater and greater likelihood the burnout is going to start to happen. So that's the first thing, right? Is making sure that what does that look like of the relationship between I'm receiving this information, okay? I see naturally what they're doing, but then how am I nurturing? Am I pushing too much? So that's one of the first things you have to be able to do, right? The other part then is getting them out of their own way. So there might be, as a family, a lot of times where burnout can happen that a lot of people misperceive too is we are playing a lot and we're doing a lot, but then my child's not eating enough and they don't drink enough or whatever, or they don't get enough sleep. That's a big issue, right? So you have to be able to look at that. Hey, is my kid, so I remember, I had one family member, won't say all that stuff, like who and what the dynamic was, but I remember, when they'd come out and they were about 7 at the time, literally, 8 years old, 7, coming out of a lesson, going 7 days a week, all the time, playing. Would come out, what would they get? Tangy Taffy and a Coke. And I remember saying this to the family member going,
jeez,
whoa, wait a second. If he keeps doing that and that keeps going, I'm telling you right now, done by 13, 14 years old, done. Because if you keep revving the engine like that, and that's how you keep fueling, it's inevitable. I don't care how much passion they have, how much they do. Boom, like clockwork, 15 years old, stopped. Came back and all, but it wasn't the same. Of like, I had enough of it, exhausted, blah, blah. And I'm like, right. Because I knew the engine eventually was going to burn out of, you cannot go. So that's another thing you have to pay attention to is how much of the sleep, food intake, that if you are doing a lot and you are playing a lot, you have to be mindful of, well, wait a second, how much are we fueling and getting rest? Like you have to pay attention to that because that will create burnout big time.
Makes sense.
And then the third one is a big one is the environment you're attached to. If you're in a toxic culture, screaming, yelling, berating, self-worth, and you're feeling that all the time, you got to get out of there. You got to get out. Like no matter what because what happens is there's always a duality, right? In those environments, usually there's the kids and the families who don't feel that from the staff. Can do no wrong. We love you a ton. So they don't get that. But if you're getting that energy, if it's like, right, I always make the argument about tough love, of what nonsense it is. There's two words in there, tough and love. If you're always tough and you never show love, that's not tough love. That's just tough.
Yeah.
Right.
So if there's no love and there's no love being given back from the environment, you have to leave because that will burn you out because it's too much on the nervous system of, I as a human being, I know you don't believe in me. I know you don't truly care for me. I don't need you to tell me that. Oh, I'm just being tough on you. I just, it's tough love. No. The way you're acting is not tough love. That's abuse.
Right.
Abuse. So that is burnout. So those would be the three big ones of, from an environmental standpoint, really paying attention to what you're putting in your body, how much you're resting, to again, being able to look at environmental factors of like, all right, how much is just natural? And I just love doing it. Right. And you're paying attention to that. Those would be the big ones that for sure, any one of those three or a combination is what typically leads to burnout.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So it's funny. Scott and I have talked before about, we all put so much money into this game in gear, in lessons, in tuition, in everything. And I think one of the things that we as parents don't do is we never address the mindset or the mental side of a young athlete's development. And we put so much money into everything else, the physical part of it, right? The off ice, the on ice. And I think that obviously, society is figuring it out slowly. I think that the mental part of, the perfect example, you're the NHL's first mental performance coach. I mean, there's a reason why, right? The top level is starting to figure out, hey, listen, like this is a problem that we need to start addressing. And I hope that it filters down to the youth players and the youth parents, because we spend all this money, Vinny, on all this stuff, and yet nobody spends money on a mental performance coach.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, because I think where the biggest constraint we're facing with, mindset or mental performance, anything in that category, is that like everything else, we've individualized it. We think it's all about the individual nature of, of the process. How am I thinking about it? How do I need to perceive and how do I need to control my emotions and do all these things, which is a big part of it, right? The me part is big. But what I found with high performing, if we're talking about now, all right, I want to be a part of a high level culture in anything you do. I don't care if it's hockey, work, family, right? High standard and principles and values. It's always the same thing. If you want to be a highly functioning human being, and that's what you're shooting for, the biggest issue I see in the space is it's not just individuality. It's not just me. It's the we. There's a collective thinking that doesn't go on in the development process. So a lot of organizations, what they think is, oh, mindset, mental. Oh, all right, I've got to go. Hey, this kid's messed up. Can you work with him, Vinny? On his own. But what people don't see behind the scenes is, and I've said this for a while now, is the players that we have that are gamers. It takes about 3 or 4 months before they figure out our frameworks, our tools, our okay, I get where you're going with this. It hits them like a ton of bricks, and it's like an awakening. You're like, oh my God, that makes sense for themselves, right? How they manage their emotions, what they need to be aware of, how consistent they are in their behavior. It hits them like, okay, I get it. Now, what we spend years on developing, because it's always changing, right? They might go from juniors to college to pro. There's constant evolving of the environment. Then what we're spending a ton of time on is the collective thinking. Well, how does your coach see it? How does your line mate see it? Who are you guys going up against? So we spend way more time talking about what is going on actually from the environmental factors that you're going to have to work around. And so that's the biggest misconception of why organizations are struggling to see it, I think, because it got categorized as another individual development thing. And what I've made the argument now for a while is mindset performance should be collective in nature. We talk about building a family and building trust in a team, yet you think it's all going to happen because we're just going to get better as hockey players? Like you really think if we just keep working more on our systems and we get a better power play, you think that's going to fix the problem? The system is never the problem. It's the humans operating. Tons of people can play a 1-3-1, right? Everyone's doing the same system, 1-3-1. But it's the humans, how they're interacting, how they're thinking about it, the timing, the rhythm, the discussions they've had. That's ultimately what dictates. And that's a huge problem in the industry that we're not solving for, is that we're not having enough of a discussion about collective thinking, having these discussions openly. So coaches with families, with players, coaches with players, coaches with coaches, like we're not sitting collectively and going, what do you think? How do you see it? Why are you seeing it that? We're not clear on that. And because we're not clear on that, and we're just leaving it to the individual, of course we're going to keep having problems. Because all we're doing is I'm in my own head thinking I have solved it, when the reality is you have no idea what the other people that are participating truly think. And until that happens, I don't care how much mental performance and mindset work you do, hockey's a collective game. We need to understand what everybody's thinking, not just you.
It's so interesting, and just to hear you put it like that is like so eye-opening, honestly. And it's just wow. Let's hope that that others are, those that are listening are gonna heed that advice. And this has been a wonderful conversation. I think we're getting a little long, but I think that's a great place to wrap things up. But before we do, please, if you could just share with everyone that's listening, like where to find you, how to reach out to you, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, easiest ways, I'm on Instagram, at Coach Vinny Malts. Find me there. Check us out there. And then I'm also on LinkedIn for the parents as well. Right on there. It's under Vinny Malts and stuff like that. Or it might be under Vince on LinkedIn, a little bit more pro.
A little more professional. I got you. I know what you mean.
The duality, right? I'm like, where you go. But if you message me there and all that stuff, it takes me about 24 hours tops. So I'll get back at some point also. But that's the easiest.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
Well, eye-opening conversation. Thank you so much for taking time out to speak with us. This was amazing.
Thank you, Vinny. We know you're busy, so thank you very much for the time.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. I mean, I love what you guys are doing. It's important conversations now. So thank you guys for having me on.
Appreciate it. We'll definitely have you back on. Yes.
Awesome.
All right, Vinny.
Thanks,
Take care, man. Have a great day.
Thanks, pal.
Yeah, you too, guys.
Bye.
Okay, everybody. We are back from our awesome interview with Vinny Malts. I hope you guys enjoyed that. He is a wealth of information. The guy.
Unreal.
Yeah, our first interview like that with a guy like him. We've touched on that topic briefly or early on in some of our podcasts, but we're not qualified to speak about what the stuff that he covers.
Yeah.
He's a very, very cool dude. Like, we have to have him on again.
Yeah, it's like listening to him talk, and I'm thinking to myself, I was like, number one, I need to sign my kid up to learn all the things. But then I'm also thinking about it, and I'm like, all right, I want to send my kid so he becomes like mentally stronger. But then I'm also thinking like all the things I'm doing are like wrong. So it's like, oh geez, maybe I should start with just backing off. And it's but isn't that like what happens all the time?
Yes.
It's like we talk about something, or we have an amazing interview like this, and like you hear the same things from a lot of different people, whether it's people tied to the game of hockey, parenting podcast, whatever, blah, 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 and it's like, yeah, totally makes sense. And then, then you're like, okay, maybe I'm good for like a couple of weeks at best. And then like, oh no, all of a sudden it's just like, no. All that stuff, you just throw it out the fucking window.
Fucking window, dude.
But like,
you forget about it. You literally forget all of the things you're supposed to be thinking.
But dude,
and your emotions take over.
But even look, we've called each other when we're kind of like bent out of shape, blah blah blah. And
no,
okay, well, or text or whatever.
I don't know why. I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, but it's like one of these things where it's like, just like, okay, I'm all bent out of shape. I like, hey Jamie, I'm fucking bent out of shape. Blah 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 blah. And then you're like, dude, just calm down. It's all good. And then it's like, this is what happens. You get a case of the fuck it's, and you're like, no, fuck it. No, dude, fuck it. I need to be harder. I need to be this. You're like, fuck it. So it's like the fuck it's are the worst.
One thing I did take away from Vinny's interview was he said it's okay to be mad. He said it's okay, but he said you start to get mad and it's okay to be mad, but then in those 5 to 10 seconds, you got to come down and go, okay, reassess the situation, right? So that he did say that it's okay to get mad, but then he said, ask his kids, right? He's like, ask my kids, I'll tell you. Then he said it's okay to come down, and in that 5 to 10 seconds, you then become the rational parent again.
Right. Yeah, because we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to trip up.
Yes.
And he even, he himself does it too. And like exactly what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the,
Yeah.
the piece about like having a supportive environment for healthy growth for kids, it's like, I just can't think about how many times like I have kind of sabotaged that environment.
I think
primarily because I'm not getting what I want. You know what I mean? Like my kid might not be doing the right thing, and maybe he knows better, or maybe he hasn't figured that out yet. But like that's he will, if he continues to play the game and continues to grow with it, he's gonna learn. But like for me to take away an environment where he can feel safe or he feels like supported, like that's on me, man.
Yes,
like,
it is.
And that's the part
I'm guilty of it too, buddy. I get it.
No doubt.
Listen, I think most of us are, right? Most of us competitive parents are. And I think sometimes we lose the forest through the trees,
Yeah.
and then he said, just kind of get out of the way and let your kid just, create a good environment so you're not hampering your kid.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, and I have done that. And there's no question about it. I have done that in the past.
Right.
There's no question about it. And I'm
like
working
in the
on
past,
that.
like 60 seconds.
Like in the past, like weekend, like literally in the past
24
couple
hours.
days, and I'm trying to not do that, and I'm getting better, but fuck, that's hard. I mean, that is hard. That is not an easy skill.
Well,
I'm sorry. It is not.
No, but like, I think
so
the
much
piece,
easier said than done.
No, right. And I think the piece that maybe I use to rationalize times when I don't want to bite my tongue, and that's like, my kid, I need, as a parent, I need to also show my kid the right path. And while it might be well-intentioned, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And that's the piece that I can lose sight of. And what you were saying before, as I'm losing my train of thought right now, because so much stuff swirling, but the feelings part, we tell our kids at home, we're like, it's okay to feel however you feel, but it's like what you do with it that's more important. It's like, if you feel sad right now, feel sad. If you're angry right now, feel angry. But like hitting your sister, that's not what we do when we're angry. What I mean? And so it takes practice, dude. It fucking takes practice.
Yeah, we all need to go need to sign up for Coach Vinny, period.
No doubt.
And our kids. Well, listen, he mentioned during the interview, part of why he actually went down this road is because he needed to fix himself, right?
Well, he also talked about
and
his parental unit.
Yeah, he did. That was interesting when he talked about his family dynamics. He said it was tough when it was tough, but there was a ton of love in the household, which was, which is how it should be,
Right.
Yeah, fun interview, man. Really, really fun interview. Oh my goodness.
What? What?
You don't see her?
Oh. Hello.
She came into the room. Sorry, everybody.
Oh, good. What's up, Rory?
Yeah, exactly. Rory's she's crashing the podcast. But yeah, man, no, he was great. I again, bloodlinehockey.com. Vinny, what I say, Coach Vinny, what I say, Coach Vinny Malts, at Coach Vinny Malts on Instagram. He's a very impressive guy, as I'm sure you guys all heard from the interview. I don't need to tell you. If you need anything from him, I'm sure he's more than happy to talk to you. He's got some really cool things coming with his business.
Yeah, and some of the stuff he said he wasn't even able to share just yet.
He wasn't
but like
able to mention yet.
The way he teed that up, it sounded like, I think he might even use the word revolutionary.
He did. He most certainly did use the word revolutionary for the game, which is really cool. Now he's, I want to have him on again. He was so good. I need to have Dominic talk to him too, because I think, again, us as parents, we neglect that part of our kids' game. We spend so much money on training, physical training. I think we really, really don't pay enough attention to that part.
Yeah, well, it's just yet another thing to put on the list of to-dos in terms of working with our kids. I don't know, man. Like, and it's also like the piece that's like, when does it make the most sense? Like, and there's no, you probably can't be too early to do that stuff, but man, it becomes, you got limited amounts of time, got to prioritize all that other stuff. But after listening, speaking with him, it just, feels super important.
Yeah. So, not to change gears at all, but we had a listener write in, from the Dallas area.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah.
But she had, I'm not sure I say if it's a he or she, but, so the listener wrote in, and, I responded to them too, but they were listening to, I want to say it was like episode 18 that we did, 13 or 18, which was on private equity.
Yep.
The business of youth hockey.
Yep.
And they happened to bring it up at an interesting time because Black Bear is kind of in the news recently in the hockey world. They're kind of under fire a little bit from what's been going on in some of their rinks. So I thought the timing was very interesting that this person happened to see that episode and reach out.
Yeah. No, I've seen things, like the parents are being told they can't record, and like they kind of backpedal. Like, so I've read the THF and the AHF rules, and it seemed very clear that like there was no recording allowed whatsoever. Dude. And then they went back and said that, of course, recording is something that's a part of like, your kid's journey, a special time for your kids. Of course, you're going to want to record it. I'd have to go back to see, because I remember when last season I read it because we were recording our games, not for rebroadcasting, but, for teachable moments. And we were told in some rinks we couldn't, and that it even said in like the rules of the THF and I think the AHF as well, that if you get caught recording, like your team could get like have to forfeit the game. Maybe, I don't know. I might be misquoting the rules, but it seemed pretty clear. It didn't seem like there was like, oh, maybe they're just talking about broadcasting.
Dude, I have experienced firsthand, being in a Black Bear rink where the person literally walked up to a parent and said to them, like, you need to stop that right now. God forbid you put a GoPro behind the net. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not right.
I've been told to take things down immediately.
Oh, right. So you've experienced it too,
Yeah, 100%. But like, I wasn't. It's not like I had my phone in my hand. I had like, a proper, camera meant to record ice hockey.
What about the Pixelot camera?
That's what I had.
Right. So the Pixelot camera that teams put up to break down film. I mean, come on. I mean, there's, listen, that in my opinion, I think Black Bear needs to revisit. Right. And I think maybe
it sounds like they are.
I hope so, right? I think the other problem with Black Bear is that I'm pretty sure there's not like a Black Bear employee. Maybe that's not right. Like, I feel like there's not like an official person to go to in some of these rinks if you have an issue. You know what I mean? I feel like,
what, what kind of person are you envisioning?
I'll give you, for instance.
Yeah.
Okay. We were at one of the early showcases and the iPad stopped working.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I guess they don't want to use game sheets anymore. So they have their own proprietary system.
Black Bear does?
Yeah. I guess they don't want to pay for game sheets.
Yeah.
So they came up with their own.
Okay.
Okay. And the iPads didn't work. So, and there was nobody to go to and say, hey, like, can you give us a little bit of like, like tech help here? Like, it wasn't working. Right.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So, so that was a problem.
But wouldn't that be like the responsibility of like the rink to be like onboarded with like,
you would think so.
Know-how?
Again, you would think so.
Like,
yes.
If it wasn't Black Bear and it was just like, let's say their normal scoreboard and it wasn't working, you'd get someone in like operations at the rink to like have a look. Again, you would think that same position at whatever rink would be trained on the iPad.
Dude,
or not. I don't.
Dude,
that's what I would hope.
Our iPad, the iPad did not work, and to this day, probably like 5 weeks out, a month out, that game still is not recorded in our overall record.
Huh? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
and I'm not sure how responsive BlackBerry is with that stuff. And so I think they.
why don't you ask Tyler? He would know, wouldn't
No,
he?
he does not know. We are all like a little flabbergasted.
But who's their point of contact at Black Bear? The organization must have a point of contact.
I'm sure
they got sold to Black Bear.
I'm sure. Listen, there's certain things that Black Bear I think does okay, and there's certain things that I think Black Bear needs to fix. Right? I think it's like, I'll give you an example of something that's good that Black Bear's done. Okay. I think that the teams that are in Black Bears leagues are good. The competition is decent.
Okay.
Depending on your birth year, right? It's not across all birth years, but this is from my own experience. Our showcases this year, we're not playing like dogs. Like, we're playing like big time teams.
Okay.
Right.
That's good.
So our showcases are very good. Okay. Again, on the flip side, I think that the whole not being able to record your kid is ludicrous. Right.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, that's an obvious one with like low hanging fruit also to fix that, in my opinion.
Right.
But
right.
Yeah.
Like the price of things, I think kind of like irritates some people. I mean, gear and tuition are more expensive now.
Yeah. Look, right? I don't think I've talked to anyone about Black Bear and had anyone say like
glowing
positive,
reviews.
like glowing reviews. It's like, and look, it's obviously easier to give negative feedback a lot of time than positive feedback, right? But I think that there's some things, and the recording of things, some of the price, for example, that grates on people. I mean, it affects them in very significant ways in their pocketbook, and these are my my kids' memories with my kid.
Yeah,
and you're making it difficult on both of those things. It's like, come on, man.
And this is the most expensive youth game out there. And for them to jack the price up, if you're jacking the price up and you're giving a better product, it's another story, right?
Right.
But if you're jacking the price up and giving a subpar product, I'm not so sure that makes sense.
But what's also interesting about the whole thing is that you have the rinks are still being operated, let's just say, by the same people that have always been operating it. So there's a gap between ownership and boots on the ground.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And you could probably have operators at certain rinks that are doing a fantastic job,
True.
and maybe even made some improvements along with the increase in price.
I would hope so. Right.
So again, I'm no expert on the matter. I guess I'm just saying in some instances it's probably a little more complicated, but nonetheless, I think that we've talked about, if you've read the news or Instagram, whatever, you've seen things about, people that are taking up legitimate issues.
Yeah, I think you and I need to reach out to Black Bear, and we should try to get them to do an interview with us, and we'll ask the important questions.
Well,
I think
tee that up, dude.
I'm working on it.
All right,
definitely working on it.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
All right, my guy. So what do you think? We wrap this one up?
Yeah, absolutely. I hope everybody enjoyed the interview with Vinny Malts. I thought he was great. I hope you guys got a lot out of it. I hope it helped you. He is great. Yeah,
I think that's more like a fact.
Yeah, no, he is great. He's tremendous. Yeah. I hope you guys got a lot out of it. Again, if you need to reach out to him, his Instagram, Coach Vinny Malts, bloodlinehockey.com. The guy's a wealth of information. We need to have him on a bunch more.
Yeah, no doubt, dude.
Yeah.
All right, great episode.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, likewise, pal.
And to all of our listeners, have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Ooh,
enjoy with your family.
Very happy Thanksgiving.
That's it.
Yes. And we'll see you guys in episode 43.
All right. See you then.
See you, homeboy.
Peace.
Later.